Now, there are many reasons that couples therapy might not be successful. Today, I want to share with you 5 of the most common barriers to success in couples therapy. Number 1 is you want your therapist to be a bit of a referee. Discussing individual arguments with your therapist in session can be really useful. It can help us identify larger patterns. But expecting your therapist to take sides can create power differentials and resentments in the room that can ultimately hold us up in progress in our therapy. So I think it's important to establish clear goals for therapy with your partner and your therapist, and also be willing to discuss with your therapist what they see their role is in the therapy process. Now, number 2, you just haven't gotten to the core issues yet. We often start couples therapy for specific reasons, but the problems are often systemic. And so the reasons that we present with are often symptoms. They're not the root cause. And so part of therapy can help us take the big view of what's going on, but we may not be there yet. It takes time for the therapist to get that deeper perspective about what's going on, to identify patterns instead of addressing individual concerns. Until you figure this out and get these things to resolve, it can kind of feel like you're playing whack-a-mole a little bit, because you're trying to solve this thing, something else flares up, something else flares up. It's because we have to sometimes take time to get to those more foundational issues. I would say take care not to stop couples counseling too early. Sometimes we can get a few wins early on, which is always great. But sometimes if we get there and then we quit early, we're just back where we started after weeks or months. And so make sure that you hang with it long enough to get that foundational work done. Number 3, you want your therapist to fix your partner, but you don't really want to change. Even if you're in a case where you're a wronged party, such as with infidelity, it's important to realize that we both have a role to play in the relationship dynamic. Now, that doesn't mean that you're responsible or to blame for your partner's bad behavior. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think it is important to recognize that relationships are co-created, and it becomes a complicated dance between both partners owning their own behavior, being responsible for it, but also recognizing that we both make contributions to a secure relationship. And this is where working with a couples counselor can help quite a bit. Number 4, you just have individual work to do. Issues can make arguments worse, like poor self-regulation, or maybe we're still learning how to set and maintain boundaries in our relationship. It's not uncommon to do couples therapy at the same time one or both of you is doing individual therapy, but just recognize that if we don't both have pretty solid self-regulation skills and boundary management skills, then it can take longer for couples therapy to work. So sometimes we have to be persistent and hang in there. Number 5, you've just waited too long. Couples tend to go see a relationship therapist for 2 reasons, in my experience. 1, they're there for premarital counseling to get things off to a terrific start, which I'm a big fan of. And number 2, they show up when the relationship is in danger of failing. And so they don't tend to do check-ins or show up when there are these kind of low to mid-level difficulties that they're struggling to resolve. Think about it like if you had a fire in your kitchen. If you can't get that put out pretty quickly, do you wait till half the house is on fire before you call the fire department? Probably not. When you start to notice that this is growing and it's getting a little out of control and beyond your efforts to manage it, you make that call because you want to bring the professionals in to help bring that fire down. It's the same thing in a relationship. We can sometimes limp along far too long, just focusing on each other's love languages or just trying to be nicer to each other. And the problem is that if we do that for too long, things can just go from bad to worse. And we don't want that to happen. So I would say don't wait too long. If you sense that it's time and there are things that you're unable to resolve, just you and your partner, then maybe seek the care of a qualified professional who can offer you support and information to help improve your relationship. Hey friends, thanks for being here today. I'm always grateful for your time and attention. If you have comments or questions, please do leave them down below. And until next time, be well.